What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and today we're going to discuss what a Crash Bandicoot movie would be like. Sonic recently got his movie, and Mario is getting an animated movie by Illumination sometime very soon. Probably next year, I think. But anyways, I think it's time PlayStation's official, non-official mascot got his own movie as well. Now, the first question we'd have to answer is, what genre would it be? Would it be fully animated or a live-action animated hybrid? And I'm gonna have to go with fully animated. While Sonic was able to pull off a live-action animated hybrid very well, I don't think Crash could do the same. Not anything against Crash, of course, his world is just absolutely not made for it. I mean, Sonic meets regular humans all the time, and Eggman, even though he has a very cartoonish design, was still based off a real person, Theodore Roosevelt, and you could theoretically dress up as Dr. Eggman pretty easily. Like, by the end of the live-action Sonic movie, spoilers, mute the video or skip ahead or something. At the end of the Sonic movie, Jim Carrey shaves his head, he has the big mustache, and he looks pretty much identical to the Eggman in the games. He just doesn't have the belly for it yet, but he'll likely develop it by the next movie. So Sonic hangs out with regular humans in his games all the time, and even the cartoony humans can still be achieved in person. It makes sense as to why it's able to be live action. However, Crash Bandicoot lives on a remote island full of mostly animals. The only normal humans in the Crash Bandicoot series are Cortex's lab assistant minions or the tribesmen in Papu Papu's village. Dr. Cortex, Engine, and Embryo may all be humans, but their character designs are so odd and abstract and cartoony that I don't think any real person could truly capture their essence. So while I would be open-minded to a live-action Crash Bandicoot movie if it ever occurred, due to the success of Detective Pikachu and Sonic, I don't think it's very likely, and I don't think it would work very well. So fully animated it is! But who would animate it? Since it's fully animated and not a live-action hybrid, they'd need an animation studio, not an effects studio. The Mario movie is getting Illumination, and the Ratchet & Clank movie got Rainmaker, the guys behind the Barbie movies and open season sequels and Surf's Up 2? Okay, weird choice guys, but alright. So who would I pick for Crash? Naturally, you'd assume I'd say Disney or Pixar because of the quality of their animation in their films. Well, they're both in a big rut right now, so I'm kinda backing away, dude. Now you're probably assuming I'll say Sony because Sony, PlayStation, Crash, haha. But nope, I'm going with DreamWorks. DreamWorks has shown that they can handle adaptations very, very well. How to Train Your Dragon, Captain Underpants, Mr. Peabody and Sherman, they know how to take things and make it their own while also showing lots and lots of love to the source they came from. Not only that, but in Captain Underpants and Peabody and Sherman, an underrated gem, they showcase that they can also handle the abstract character design and zany animation that Crash would work super well in. I know Sony has Spider-Verse, it's an incredible adaptation with super unique and interesting animation, but that was a one-time thing, and I just feel DreamWorks has a better track record for adaptations right now, especially since Sony canceled the Popeye movie. So yeah, it's settled. I'm saying a Crash Bandicoot movie should be fully animated by DreamWorks. So now that we've decided what the movie will be and who it will come from, now comes the fun part. What will it be about? This is a bit of a predictable answer, but like the Sonic movie, I think it should also be an origin story. And while it should be faithful to the original, it should also take some creative liberties as well. Have Coco be there during the first game, have Aku Aku be an actual character during the first game instead of just a power-up. But also increase the stakes by having Cortex get a tad bit closer to succeeding in his plans. Perhaps Cortex does brainwash Tana and she tries to stop our heroes throughout the movie while they try to find a way to change her back. There's so many teeny tiny little things you can adjust to make it a more interesting movie without overriding the whole thing. But adapting the plot alone to movie form doesn't automatically make it great. We have to work on the characters too. Now at first glance, Crash Bandicoot seems like a very difficult character to develop. He seems so standard and flexible with what he can be, like Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny. How can we give him emotions that have him not constantly smiling 24/7 without stripping away who he is as a character? The solution to that is actually pretty simple. Let us see Crash before Cortex's experiments. Let us see him as a regular Bandicoot dude hanging out with his sister Coco and helping out villagers or other animals wherever he lives. Perhaps Crash is a very active, helpful, and important member of his community. But of course, after Cortex's experiments, he changes. And although he gets all zany and wacky and goofy, I still think Crash needs to remember who he was, who he used to be before all of that. So when he escapes Cortex and makes it back home, he continues trying to help everyone, but he keeps screwing it up because of his new wacky brain. So when Crash hits rock bottom and feels like his world is over, Coco convinces him to go out and find Dr. Cortex and make him turn Crash back to normal. And perhaps through this adventure, this can be the first time where Crash meets Tana, when she's already brainwashed and evil, so he can be the one to reform her to good and win her over. It'll give them more chemistry and flesh out their relationship so they can feel as memorable as other video game couples like Mario and Peach. Now, what happens when Crash does save the day? And, well, I don't think his brain should be turned back to normal. He should stay zany, wacky, and cartoony and learn to accept himself the way he is now. He can learn new ways to solve problems and discover workarounds for places he's having trouble in. I honestly really think they could use Crash as a character for people with disabilities to identify with. I can't recall the last time an animated film did that since Finding Nemo. Crash knows he's no longer normal, he knows he's never gonna be normal again. But he's still gonna find a way to get through any obstacle, his own way. I'm disabled myself, I have extremely poor eyesight, I'm legally blind. And though Crash wouldn't have that exact problem, having him represent people with disabilities as he finds a way to power through them would be really inspiring and important. Especially since it wouldn't change or alter his character at all, he'd still be the Crash that we know and love from the games. So with Crash staying the way he is, how should the movie end then? Well, I say it should end more open-ended, be open to a sequel, but not Crash Bandicoot 2. I think they should skip ahead to Crash Bandicoot Warped, since Crash 2 is kind of small scale in terms of story. Instead of Cortex falling into the Crystal Cavern after being knocked off his blimp, he should fall into Uka Uka's tomb instead, releasing him. Bringing Uka Uka into this would help increase the stakes for the sequel, and also help it not feel like a rehash of the first movie by just having it be Crash vs. Cortex again. I won't go into too much detail on this potential sequel since this video was just about what a Crash movie would be like, not a Crash movie franchise, but I do see potential in fleshing out Aku Aku through this of all characters. I mean, think about it. Even though Aku Aku is fighting for good, he and Uka Uka are still brothers, and they're still using pawns, Crash and Cortex, to fight for them. Their petty bickering is so bad that it's hurting others around them, no matter what they're fighting for. We could get loads of backstory on who Aku Aku and Uka Uka were before they were masks. We could find out what started the fighting, how much it escalated, and they could potentially reform their brotherly bond by the end of the movie. And I think the movies should end with that. I don't think they should make a third one, but if they somehow manage to make it work, then what the heck. But anyways, what do you guys think of my ideas for a Crash Bandicoot movie? It was super fun to do, and I honestly came up with a lot more than I thought I was going to. But let me know your ideas down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Leopold the Brave, out.